don't chase. Keep elevating yourself until what you want chases you. This is the idea of don't pursue, attract. The reason why this is so valuable is because when you keep pursuing and pursuing and pursuing, it is in effect a Chinese finger trap. Now, earlier today, what did I say was one of the single most important questions in all personal growth? Anyone remember? What was it? What was it? What was it? What was it? Great. So in other words, that time that you spend pursuing could be reallocated into building yourself into somebody that would actually get it to where the person that you're chasing would chase you. So by chasing them, you're burning mental capital, emotional capital, thought capital, focus capital, all that. You're burning that, and then you can't become the kind of person where they would chase you. You're putting your time into them. But also, there's a combination of the actual value that you have, but then in addition, there's something called the buyer-seller dynamic, which is basically that even if you have all the value, if the buyer-seller dynamic isn't handled properly, you could have all the value in the world, nobody's gonna care, okay? So this is the idea of don't chase, attract. Don't pursue, attract. And you do that with a combination of building the base level value, but also building the relatability of that value and the buyer-seller dynamic. That's what we want to talk to you about today.
Yeah, now this can be misinterpreted, right? Because you hear that, don't pursue, attract. So if I want to meet someone new, I don't want to pursue them, I want to attract them, right? So instead of say, I want to say hi to this person, let me go up and say hi, I'm just going to wait till they come to me. Don't pursue, attract, right? See me over here in the corner?
Yeah, you said not to pursue.
Come on.
I'm attracting them over here.
Well, it didn't work, right? So you can use this to also stay stuck. So this doesn't mean don't take action, right? Don't pursue, attract isn't in the action, it's really in the vibe and in the intention. Meaning, I could walk up to him and be like, hey, how's it going?
All right.
Right? That there, on an action-wise, you're like, well, you're pursuing. It's not about the action. What's the vibe, right? Who's the buyer? Who's the seller? What's the underlying dynamic? It's very different. For example, if I'm going up like, hi, like me, like me, like me, like me. Very different versus, hey, like me.
What's up?
Right? Very different. There's not that same neediness. I'm not relying on him to make me feel good. I'm feeling good. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And it draws him in. The non-neediness, the non-chasing gives the room for that person to step in and get attracted to you. Okay, and again, this is not just romantically, it's in all aspects. Don't pursue, attract. It's also in terms of, say, where you could say your source of good emotions, right? Like a lot of people will say, I say this thing to you, you react a certain way. So say you might laugh, that laughter comes back to me, and because it's a good reaction, I feel better. So I'm like button pushing and chasing these good reactions versus I'm going to say it to me, generate that within me, and then those good vibes by the law of state transference will attract that person.
Do you want to even slow that down a bit? It's such an important point. Okay, let's slow this down. Slow it down. What most people do. Then if you like it, they're doing that, right? So, but what you do instead is you go, make yourself laugh. Oh, and then it shoots out, Now,
think of a Care Bear.
That's
it's like
Instagram.
Unleash the Care Bear.
Yeah, you remember the Care Bears? Yeah. Right? Right? The Care Bears weren't like, woo, and then like, right? Care Bears didn't do right. It's just right out, right? Why can't you just chase the reaction? What's wrong with just chasing the reaction? I mean, hey, if you knew what you're doing, you know how to get the reaction. Doesn't matter. Why don't we want to chase the reaction? What's going to happen at some point, yeah, all that, all great answers. What's going to happen at some point is you're not going to get it, inevitably. In fact, one of the major tests when a high-level person wants to see if you're the real deal is they will unconsciously withdraw reactions. So you must be indifferent. You have to be aware of their responses, calibrate, but what you want to be doing is make yourself have fun. So I sometimes would call this Marionette Mode that a lot of people that try to get better socially do, where what you're doing is you walk around like this, and then when you see someone you want to talk to, all right, Marionette Mode. And one of the things I think is the most powerful is actually what you're doing in between interactions. So you think it's like, okay, I could walk around being this depressed derper all day, but then when I see someone I want to talk to, oh, oh, right? It's like this. It basically means that your energy isn't grounded, it's untethered, it's always reaching. And then what happens is that you have something called the buyer-seller dynamic. And when people can feel that you're reaching, what inevitably happens is that they lose interest in you. And the reason why is we have something called Reticular Activation System, RAS. Look it up, it's your selective focus. And what happens is that when you're not reaching, if they're into you, they will tend to block out things about you that aren't good, and they will tend to overly focus on things that are good. But when you're reaching, they tend to blot out the things that are good, and they ignore and they overly focus on the things that aren't good, okay? The reason why this happens is because you're over-validating. You're smothering with validation. So it's very, very similar to if I want you to be hungry for a piece of food, if I kind of like let you smell it a bit, let you have a little taste of it, and I keep pulling it back. I mean, imagine if I had your favorite food. I let you smell it, I put it in your mouth, I take it out, I put it in your eye, you know? I mean, I don't know where I'm going with this, but imagine that, okay? And what would you think of the food? Julien's gonna try this later. But anyway, so imagine that, right? Versus if I just take your favorite food and I start shoving it down your throat. And I'm like, take it, right? And you're like, I'm full. You're like, I'm like, no, eat it. You said it's your favorite food. And I'm being myself, right? You know, it's like people can't make the distinction, like the nuanced distinction between be yourself and like not shove the food down their throat. So what you do is if you want someone to really, really savor a meal, you allow them this space to really anticipate it and for their RAS to really lock in on the virtues of it, not the faults of it. You can say that about any kind of meal, right? You can look at a greasy piece of pizza and all you'd see is the grease dripping off it and like kind of disgusting. Or you see like that fluffy dough, that fresh tomato sauce, the piping smell, and you want to eat it, right? You can interpret it in both ways. You ever seen somebody who maybe watches Julien or my videos and they don't like it in the comments? You're like, how do you not see the value in that? You ever have that feeling? Well, I do. And the reason why is they're probably wondering why you like it. Like they're like, how can anyone like these guys? Like what is that, right? But the RAS is just focused on different things. So what Julien is trying to talk about here, this idea of don't pursue, attract, is this idea that yes, you've got to put yourself out there, but you don't want to over-validate, and rather you want to be building your inner foundation. Your inner foundation in terms of your own inner happiness, the foundation of your own self-amusement, foundation of your life, foundation of your friends, foundation of your career, your passion, your purpose, all that. Build that more and more and combine that with getting yourself out there and engaging with people, and that's a very, very magic formula.
Yeah, really be aware of that buyer-seller dynamic too, right? Ask yourself, whenever you're talking to someone, who's the buyer, who's the seller? Now, this can also be misinterpreted where you're like, I will never, ever chase at all or pursue at all. It's like, no, once you're in the conversation, there is this give and take, right? It's like, yes, it's a back and forth. It's not just you always like, I'm the buyer. But overall, especially at first, you better be, okay? But be aware of that. It's like, who cares more? Who's reacting more to the other person, right? Who's changing the way they're talking, what they're saying, their demeanor, their posture to please the other person? Who cares more about the outcome? If the interaction ended, who'd be more butthurt? Who'd be more sad? And this is an old school way of explaining this too, right? It's like the Best Buy TV example. Remember that one, right? It's like if you go, like, say to Best Buy and you're looking for a television, right? That's like, say, going out and socializing. You want to meet people who you connect with. You're looking for a TV. You have a general idea, and perhaps at first glance, like, you know what? This TV looks pretty good. So you're going to walk up to it. You're not going to be like, come on, TV. You're going to walk up. You're interested. You're like, hey, TV, call over the person. Tell me more about this model. Are you just going to buy it off the cuff? No. You're interested. But you're like, well, let's see what it looks like. Let's turn it on, et cetera, et cetera. That's really the frame when socializing.
Just because you went to the TV salesman to ask for more information doesn't mean that you pulled out your wallet and said you'd pay anything for it.
Exactly. And you want the information, too, before buying. That's the problem, is if you're going trying to chase, you're like, anyone, I'll buy you, TV. You know nothing about the person. It's also weird in the person's eye where you're like, why are you chasing so much when you know nothing about me? Are you just so low value? You have so little options. You're just like, any TV, and just draw me a TV. I'll pay for it. Give me a TV. That's really what it signals. It's like you have no standards. No one wants to be with you. You're just settling for whatever. You're like a little beggar. Like, please, please, please. Right? That's really the frame. And everyone's like, who wants to be around that? Right? Low value on your end. It's also disrespecting them. It's just terrible. Instead, it's, I'm interested, but let's see. Need more info. If the info makes sense, we connect, great. But I'm not sold just off a first impression. I'm not desperate like that. That's really the frame. And within that, hey, how's it going? Joke around, so on and so forth. But the underlying frame is, I'm not entirely sold yet.
But you don't just say it verbally, it's in your vibe.
Yeah, don't be like, you know what, I'm not, well, in a funny way you could actually say that.
Sold. You could say it as
like,
a
I'm
joke.
not sold yet. Yeah. Where are you from? Where do you live? LA. LA? Not sold yet, not good enough. You can totally do that. No, but this is key. Even on a more meta level, by the way, this also means, okay, don't pursue attract. People don't really like that because the pursuing falls into the quick little tips, right? What can I do to get someone to like me versus, do I really have to become a high value person? You mean I can't just make people like me without changing? I have to actually be the person that they would be attracted to. I have to be the person that they'd want to be friends with. I have to be the person they'd want to work with. What? But that's really what it takes, right? It goes hand in hand with that other famous saying you've probably heard before. To get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. It has to make sense. You can't cheat the system. So if in your mind you're like, well, why would someone ever be attracted to me or chase me? Work to be done.
Now, I want you to understand that this idea of becoming the person who deserves it is incredibly confusing. And we're going to start to break that apart next. So the general idea that I think most people have when they say become the person who would deserve that is they tend to overestimate what it would take to connect to that other person or to attract that other person. They tend to overestimate it. For example, they've done studies where for men, you ask a man what he thinks the ideal body is to a woman, and it's usually like 25% bigger than what most women will say is what they even want, right? So that is a simple example, but in truth, and whether you're a man or a woman, it goes way, way deeper than that. So you have the base level value, but then you also have what's called the buyer-seller dynamic and the degree to which you can own that value. Very, very key that you differentiate here. So what tends to happen, I find most people tend to focus overly on one or the other. So let me give an example. A doctor who went to Africa to save children in an impoverished neighborhood, to me, and has high integrity, that's somebody who has very, very high tangible value. That same person is probably, in many cases at least, clueless about how to meet somebody else. Absolutely clueless. Or how about a bodybuilder who spent their whole life building their body? They've got a great body, super fit, amazing, athletic. Very, very frequent that I work with people that are incredibly athletic but don't know how to meet somebody. So the base level value of them being jacked is there, but they don't know how to actually relate that to another person. They don't know how to own their power. You'll see people that are entrepreneurs. Many of you in this room would be shocked at the famous entrepreneurs, famous billionaires who we work with one-on-one, behind the scenes, privately, and literally you're seeing people that have so much money you can't even imagine that they could be nervous to talk to somebody else. But they've built the base level value, but they don't know how to relate that to another human being. Oftentimes, they believe that, at the end of this sort of merry-go-round of building up their money and their fortune, their empire, somebody would just be waiting with open arms, and it doesn't happen.
Not just entrepreneurs, by the way. You picture people with like money beyond money, like royalty, right? Like the New York person I'm referring to, right? Like more money you could dream of, same thing.
So much money, it's ridiculous. Like so much money, it's like they'll have like, anyway, I don't want to reveal, but it's like things that are just ridiculous, like things that like, are ridiculous. So like taking us to tables in New York beside Leo DiCaprio while we go there, like in transportation you can't even imagine, so on and so forth, crib like you can't imagine, and literally doesn't matter, they don't know how to relate to people, because just because you have the value, financial, physique, integrity, ethical, whatever, right, contribution, doesn't mean that you know how to relate that. So then the flip side of that, and I'm not taking away from anybody here who does this because I actually think it's an awesome job, would be say like a bad stereotype of a club promoter. By the way, many club promoters, they're literally just event coordinators who really put in a real hustle. So I don't want to take away from that. But even the people that are like, really high level event coordinators are aware that there's some very club promoters that basically in perpetuity live on somebody's couch. They're addicted on hard drugs. And all they do is just kind of lead people around to a nightclub. Well, those people, what do they have that the doctor in Africa doesn't have? They have, the number one word is reach. Say the word reach. Say that with me.
Reach.
A lot louder than that.
Reach.
Louder than that.
Reach.
Louder than that.
Reach.
Louder than that.
Reach.
Okay, I'll take it. So they have reach. And what that means is that inherently they're meeting a lot of people. They also have something called social proof. Say that word with me. You got it? For anybody watching at home, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. We've been here since 7 p.m. So yeah, I appreciate the energy. We're fading, but we're gonna wrap on this high note. So basically they have reach, they have social proof, and then the main thing, of course, is they have that buyer-seller dynamic because with the reach and the social proof, they know a lot of people. And so as a result of that, I've known club promoters here in LA that live on a couch, addicted to drugs, and are just have the most ridiculous people in their life you have ever seen. It is, the circles they're around and who they date and who they network with and who they're friends with is something basically what you'd imagine is royalty, and they're living that life living on a couch hooked on drugs. It's insane. So they have that ability to have the buyer-seller dynamic, the way that it's presented, the relatability, the social proof, the reach, all that. Then you also have, the core level of value. The truth is, and I hate to tell you this, that reach, social proof, buyer-seller dynamic, and a lot of emotions will trump tangible value 99 times out of 100. That's just the truth. But that being said, does that really mean that is who you should become? No, it doesn't. And so,
Can I just add? It trumps it in the beginning.
Yes.
Not in the long run. So at first, it's like, oh, cool. And then it's like, do I want to connect this person long-term, be involved with them long-term, be in their life, be friends, whatever connections? No.
Yeah, it unravels. And actually, we've had a lot of events coordinators and club promoters come to us for help because they're like, well, I feel like I could just meet everyone in the city, but I can't keep anyone long-term. What do I do? And it's a common problem. So that being said, when we say don't pursue, attract, what that means is that you reallocate, you pull back the time and energy and opportunity. Just say the word as loud as possible. Say opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost.
9 out of 10. Oh my God. Give me a 10 out of 10 on the word opportunity cost. To wrap. That's a 9.8 out of 10. 1,
Come on.
2, 3.
Opportunity cost.
I'll take it. I like it. I really appreciate all of you being here until late, by the way. It means a lot to me. So, I like the word powering through it here. Now, yeah, basically what you do is you pull back that opportunity cost. You got to pull it back because you got to do an honest audit with yourself and say how much time and energy and mental focus am I putting in this other person and pursuing them. And it's actually kind of a sad moment when you realize that you're so invested. And the problem is you have what's called escalating investment bias, to where as you invest more and more, you get more nervous around them, you need it more, you want it more, and so on and so forth. And I've had it many times where I could really, really like somebody and I'm really, really excited about it and I keep investing and investing and investing. And then the more that I invest, the more that I care about it, which makes me a little bit nervous around them. And then as a result of that, they start to think they're better than me. And the reality is that in many of these cases, I brought, it's probably a ratio when I'm bringing the table of 10 to 1, but for some weird reason, I just fall in this loop of over-investing. Anybody here ever done that? Yeah. I've done this many times. I probably, for every one they're bringing, I'm bringing 10 or 100, but somehow I convince myself that I need this person to see this vision that I have half the time because I'm trying to help them and I just want them to see the help that I want to give for them to receive it. And I don't get that. So then eventually what I always wind up doing is I just reach a breaking point, I cut it, and then it's like 2 years on the money that you get these essay long texts that even if you block them, a friend sends for them with this lengthy apology, talking, up, down, left, and right, how it was the biggest mistake of their life, how they didn't know what they had, and so on and so forth. And literally, I deprive that person of the experience of being deeper in my life because I overinvested. And so that's where you've got to retreat, pull back, and say, for all the time that I'm putting on this one person, what if I put that in myself? And that would be both the tangible value that you're building, whether that's career, your body, your money, whatever it is, being a better person, adding more value, contributing more, or becoming better at socializing, better at opening, engaging, talking, teasing, joking, having fun, self-amusing, adding value emotionally. And so again, there is a very, very big misunderstanding that people have about what it means to truly build your own value, because yes, the tangible value is key, but it's also the raw social skills. It is really, really both. And I'm gonna even say something even a bit crazier now, and if you could let this land, I'm telling you this will change your entire life, especially socially. In many ways, what is attractive is not so much what you even bring to the table, it's that you're in alignment with yourself, happy in your own life, and that you're meeting your own criteria for success. That last one's a really big key one, by the way, is that you're meeting your own criteria for success. So, for example, I've seen people that objectively what they're saying is very, very funny, but they don't feel that it's good enough. And so they'll say something hilarious, but they don't feel it's good enough. Then I met people that make the most low-level jokes, but they think it's hilarious. And what winds up happening is everyone thinks that they're super duper funny. Or for example, I've met people that are like, very good-looking, physically in shape, and so on and so forth, but they would rate themselves like a 7 because they have low self-esteem. Then I met people that are out of shape, and you would never think of as being good looking, but they're totally convinced they're amazing, almost like Kenny Powers in Eastbound and Down. And literally, everybody thinks they're very attractive. So it's your ability to own what you have that is very, very attractive. And in effect, what you do is you have to kind of shrink, like basically what you do is you have to kind of collapse the gap between what you're aspiring to and allowing yourself to be happy. So it's like, for a lot of people, they're working towards these like tremendous goals to build their self-esteem, right? And so there's this huge gap of what it's gonna take to get to that point. And so as a result, even as they're working towards these big goals, what winds up happening is that paradoxically, as they're working towards being better, they feel lower value. You follow this? Because right now, if you have a perfect vision of yourself as a multimillionaire, then you feel like your finance is a 3 out of 10. See how this works? So you might already be at $400,000 a year, but what if that person who makes $40,000 a year thinks it's super baller, right? So they've collapsed that criteria. Now, where this can go wrong, can anybody here guess? It's when you lose motivation. So you want to collapse your criteria for feeling good, but simultaneously find new sources of motivation. And that's the idea of high vibe communication. That's what Julien is getting at, is what does it mean to get better socially or in your personal growth, but from a position of fulfillment? That is, in essence, what high vibe communication means. It means that you accept yourself fully, but still feel ambition to continue and to expand and to relate and to connect.
100%. Yeah. It also really shows that you are a quote unquote healthy human being, that you know how to meet your own needs, right? We sense this, if you go up to someone and you're just chasing and chasing, it's like, wow, this person like really needs me to complete them. They can't just be a solid unit on their own. They aren't whole, right? It's like two halves. It's like, I need my other half. Versus, I'm meeting my own needs. I know who I am whole. And from that space, I'm gonna say hi. I'm not gonna pursue, I'm gonna take action. I'm gonna create opportunities for someone to see who I am, to get attracted, and then for us to form a bond, whatever that looks like. But it's from that place of wholeness, and people sense it. They're like, wow, this person doesn't need anything. They're not just chasing, they're meeting their own needs.
And then it triggers a positive RAS flip.
Yeah, this is a healthy human being, right? And then also in terms of just your status, you could say, right? I'm sure you've all had this experience where if you talk to someone you believe you're outside their league, or you're in the same league, you don't really pursue, do you? Right? You attract, and it just kind of naturally happens. You only pursue people you believe is up there, better than you, outside your league. So that also communicates it too, that if you're going up and you're chasing, you're pursuing, you're placing that person on a pedestal and they feel it. Like, well, I'm way outside this person's league, it doesn't make sense. Versus, how do you act if, oh, of course we're in the same league. how's it going? It would make complete sense. So this whole chasing, pursuing, not good. And ultimately, too, it really comes down to who you are, coming into your own. Like, do you really want to be this person who's, again, I'm just relying, like I'm that promoter, I'm just on the couch and I'm just using these things to get people to like me? Or do you want to actually be this person? I know at first, I know for myself, right, finding out about social skills is 2006. I did originally view it as like, oh, this is like the cheat code. I don't have to put in as much work. I don't have to become all this. I can just do the little social stuff. Yes. No. Although it might sound appealing in a lower paradigm, that's not the result you want, and people eventually do see through it. This is huge. You have to become that person. Everyone has that vision. You have to be that. It has to make sense. And not necessarily on a superficial level. People are like, well, for it to make sense, then, do I have to be as good looking as the other person? Do I have to make as much money as the other person? No. That's in the having paradigm or the doing paradigm. Simply in the being. That's where it has to make sense. Their level of self-esteem matches. This person is secure. They know who they are. That is so attractive on all levels. And it's a huge shift. Take it in. Every time you catch yourself chasing, don't pursue, attract. Don't pursue, attract. It's your mantra. And it's also what happens, by the way, by default when you really do become whole and become centered within yourself. This isn't some little trick or gimmick. You can't push some buttons to do this. Okay? You can't fake this, and this is also why it's so attractive. Right? We call those like honest signals. Signals you cannot fake. People can sense, like, how much do they need? How much are they chasing? You can try to distract as much as you want. People will see through. Versus, it makes sense. I know who I am. And that is ultimately the foundation of a healthy interaction, a healthy relationship, friendship, business relationship. It has to make sense. Right? Even business-wise, whoever you engage with better make sense. Your social circle, people you want to hang out with, better make sense. If not, then get to work. And you wouldn't want it to be any other way. This is really what forces things to be quote-unquote fair. You can't cheat this. It's a fair game. You got to put in the work. You can all do it. You have the tools. You have the how-to. And it really, gets you out of that more social scammer paradigm. Screw that. Become a social master instead. Stop relying on little gimmicks. Become that person. It is possible.